May 2026, Indian politics did not just change, it has shattered. 4 states went to polls, 4 verdicts came in, and not a single one, not one, went the way experts predicted. In Bengal, a party that ruled for 15 years wiped out. A film star in Tamil Nadu with zero political experience just rewrote 50 years of history. And in Kerala, the last communist fortress in India has fallen. And this is the first time in India since 1977 that there is no communist government at all in any state. And in next 10 minutes, we are going to understand how and why. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh, and in today's session, we are going to understand that why left has left our country. So beginning with looking at the numbers that are right in front of us, and I'm sure all of you must have been looking at it since the morning, which marks a very important and decisive shift across our country as of now. But the biggest shift that we have to understand that as of now, there will be no communist party as of now seems to be present across the country. Back in 1957, it was in Kerala that the whole world saw the first democratically elected communist government. But today in May 2026, the situation is such that, as I said, India and no state in it has a communist government. So here we get to see that this is not just an electoral defeat, this is about a structure political transformation which is right in front of us. And we will be looking through it via the major timeline, temporally how it is changed and then state-wise as well. So starting with, when we look at the broader timeline in front of us, we clearly get to see that, as I said, 1957 we first saw the first democratically elected communist government. Later in 1964 there was a split where we saw emergence of CPI Marxist, and that is when 1977 marked the rise of Communist Party, because left comes to power in West Bengal. You cannot forget Jyoti Basu and her rise here, and then as well as in Tripura. So when we are talking about 1977 to 2011, this is the longest communist rule in Bengal that has been present, that is for almost 34 years. And when we look at it, this is the longest in the world that has ever seen via elections. So when we are talking about 1998 2018, we saw continuous rule in Tripura. 2016 to 26, LDF has been presenting a very strong fort for Communist Party, where we will find it lacking across the country. And finally 2026, where it has been finally broken. Now when we have seen it temporarily, it becomes very important to look at and change the lens to understand that what went wrong or what went right for the left, that the sentiment of anti-incumbency seemed much higher directed towards communism. So when we are talking about the first state here, that is Kerala, you have to understand that the success here was primarily driven that how things were being addressed. For example, the land forms that came in. When we are talking about land reforms, they address the inequality which was present. The welfare state, when we are talking about Kerala, we talk about the literacy rate, we talk about the human development index, we talk about that how health index, primary health center all looks good. So whenever we are looking at it, Kerala is something that is reminded to us, and this is where they brought in the change to set in their foot. And it was their early administrative reforms as well which polished, which laid the map for them. Add to that, when you look at the results, they also delivered on the policy which was being made. So what we get to see that yes, when we are looking at Kerala as the fortress of the communism and how it was held, That was true, that was based on some real numbers, but at the same time, over the time, structural issues were so high, such as high unemployment, the fiscal stress, declining agriculture, and many more issues, which led to the not just sentiment of anti-incumbency, but also that the leadership was centralized, which probably led to the decline that we are seeing now. Apart from that, when we are looking at another state example, West Bengal, the strength phase which existed from 1977 to 1990s, if you remember Operation Barga, where we saw 1.5 million beneficiaries, Panchayati Raj decentralization, strong rural base, again Jyoti Basu, the peak time that was seen, at back then longest serving chief minister. But when we are looking at the result of the policy, that we are seeing on the negative side, the industrial stagnation, the land conflicts, and that is why lost power in 2011. That is why the regional alternatives saw emergence back then. And then the last example that we have right here is Tripura. Tripura, when it saw the prime and setting in of communist parties, it featured on tribal mobilization, strong grassroots cadre which facilitated it, and welfare focus. But again, the results were very different from what we saw in Kerala, such as economic stagnation, the salary lag. When we are talking about 4th pay commission in this state, national level we were talking about 7th pay commission. So this is what again brought in the sentiment of anti-incumbency, the turning point which set the stage for BJP, and this is where we saw that if your policies are political, they are not reflecting towards people's real-time needs, real-time addressal, then the ideology probably does not matter after a point of time. And when we cumulatively look at it, we can clearly see biggest factor was anti-incumbency. Kerala showed that this centralization is not helping, and the economic results will always drive people if they are not in their favor. Ideologies will fade away if the results are not coming out in terms of people feeling in their pockets. And lastly, the alternatives have also ensured the wipe out that we are seeing in terms of the left. So as of now, what we are seeing is not something that we can celebrate. We have to understand that diversity, the alternatives have been wiped out, but this also marks the changing times. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section, because what we are looking at is the end of ideological diversity in states. We can understand this, that this might weaken the class-based politics, but the identity politics might also heighten with it. So when our country showed the world the first elected communist government, it is unfortunate today that we do not have one across any state. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.